broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I'm waiting for
Slow
it.
build. It's a slow build.
Oh, come on, man. That took so long.
Let's go, everybody! It's the AFTERBUZZ TV After Show for Billions, Season 1, Episode 6, entitled The Deal. And we had a battle this evening, everybody. Welcome on in. I am your lead host, Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. I am joined not by JB Zimmerman tonight. It's JB's birthday, so happy birthday to JB out there. But I have the A-team, of course. Led off, first of all, I heard she had 4 Valentine's dates last weekend. It's Andrea Fasano.
Hey! That sounds good. What's up, you guys? Andrea here, and you can follow me on all social media at Andy Fasano.
And, of course, her A-team partner in crime, it's Alina Vission.
That's right. We're back. Hey, guys. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Alina Vission.
And, well, guys, we had what felt like a season finale to me tonight.
I know, it did.
It had all of the emotion and drama and conflict that we would want from like the last episode of a season. But tonight, we got treated to so many surprises. What surprised you the most about tonight that you saw so far?
Everything? Just the deal. Absolutely, the deal. The fact that came to such a culmination so quickly. Mm-hmm. For sure. Because I thought it was something that would have dragged out.
I did too.
Right.
I did too, for sure. Alina, what'd you think?
Everything. It was so intense tonight. Like, all of us were on the edges of our seats the whole time.
I just kept smacking the
exactly.
table.
Like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the deal was amazing. It was just so intense. You could tell that just between them, it was like a dog pissing contest, completely. And it, we referenced that earlier in the season, and it's just building and building and building and building.
Max.
Yeah, to the max.
It's so cool. This show is so great.
Yeah.
It keeps getting better and better. And we'd like to hear what you guys think. So each week we start off our show with our social media shout-outs. So be sure to use the hashtag ABTV Billions out there on Twitter and Instagram. We'll go through your comments before each week's episode of our after show. And we like to feature you guys. So Alina handles Twitter every week. So I know, Alina, we have a certain super fan out there. We have Denise. So what was she saying this week?
Denise, what's up, girl? Okay, so she said, I've never seen a $1.9 billion check.
Yeah.
Join the club, girl. That was a lot of zeros. Yeah, exactly. And then she also said, really? Guys make billions of dollars and they're still looking to have their lunches picked up. Cheapskates.
That's a great point.
Good point.
That's why we do social media shout-outs. I mean, that's in a nutshell why. Great job out there, Denise. And the rest of you listeners need to catch up and, start submitting the way that Denise has. So, Andrea, you do YouTube. So what are listeners saying out there?
Well, I was reviewing last week's, and you guys did a killer show, by the way. Thank you to Kelly also for being on. I got to watch it, so I relived that, and that was really fun for me. I'm sorry I couldn't be here because that was so cool and such good questions for him. And, people were just into it. They liked it. And, we had a bunch of comments, but really mostly it was about how Rhodes found a BDSM club in the middle of Iowa. And so that conversation went back and forth for a while. And yes, it was still in Iowa. It was not back in New York City, which someone thought. And just some general comments about the show. But, I think everyone's really excited to go forward. And I can't wait to see what the comments are after this episode.
Yeah, it was a great one. And speaking of Dollar Bill Stern, this is his big focus of tonight's episode. Kelly Aucoin, who was on last week's show with us here. He was great. What a great interview. So if you guys haven't listened to that, just go one episode back and you can hear he led off the show with us. But it looks like he's going to crack when they find out about his two families. And he doesn't.
Until he's on Kaiser Sose.
I know. He does a baller move.
Amazing
Sent
line.
it to her already. What you gonna do?
Totally.
Mic drop.
Totally.
Mic
He
drop.
covered all of his bases.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm Kaiser Sose, mother effer.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
anyone doesn't know where that's from, do you not know who that's from?
No.
Oh my
Please tell
gosh.
us.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure all of our viewers are going crazy. That's from, I know I'm going to forget the title, but with Kevin, not Kevin, oh my god, why
You just scolded me for not knowing, and she
because
can't
I'm thinking
place
of
it.
Reservoir Dogs, and it's not that. It's
No.
the other one with the House of Cards. Who's the House of Cards guy?
Kevin
Spacey.
Spacey.
Kevin Spacey. So it's with him in the.
He's in a lot of
Yeah.
movies.
No, that's
you
not
guys,
narrating.
this is terrible.
Thank
How
you,
did I
Andrea.
got so distracted by the end of the show that I was looking up all these things, and then I was like, oh, I'll just think of the name of the movie, and how this is
happens.
disgusting.
While you're looking that up,
yes, go.
let's get back
By
to-
the way, does anyone else not want some whiskey that's been dipped in milk chocolate right now after watching that?
I'm not a whiskey drinker.
I
I
know
know.
whiskey in every scene. I'm like,
did.
I wish we
Yeah.
had dipped in milk chocolate. Sounded amazing. I want to know
Did
what that
sound
was,
amazing.
but
But Alina, so talking about Dollar Bill, when Lara shows up and meets his wife and delivers him a very special muffin basket.
Yeah.
I thought,
The
wow,
Usual
I want some of
Suspects.
the
Sorry.
usual suspects.
yeah,
Yes.
come on.
Thank
How
you,
did
Andrea. We could have used that 5 minutes ago.
Disgusting.
But
I can't
Andrea,
even believe I couldn't think of it. But it's a Usual Suspects reference, so
Okay.
it's important. It's a big deal.
Clear.
You guys need to go see that movie.
Okay.
Immediately.
We will.
Anyway, back to Lara.
Back to Lara.
Uh-huh.
I thought that they illustrated pretty strongly how they're taking care of the families even after they get arrested.
Right.
When you saw that, did you think that there was any way that he was going to change his mind, even though all that pressure is being brought onto his family?
No, didn't think so. He seemed pretty hardcore from the get-go. But I thought it was interesting when Lara did bring the basket. At first I was like, really? She's bringing muffins?
Exactly.
Like, really? And then we come to find out that there's just like stacks on stacks on stacks of cash.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. You're good at my book then.
I hate to say this because I really love her as an actress, but she walks in, she's just like, you're going to have to keep it together. And I'm like, really? That's like your first line to her? Like, I thought that was so weird. And then, she's just
Yes.
doling out the bills
money.
after that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
muffins look good.
But the whole basket.
Right.
I wonder if she cooked them at home. It reminds me of Blue Apron, who's our sponsor.
There you go.
You could cook bake treats at home too. You need to know how to cook. So not only do you feel like you know your way around a kitchen, but cooking at home means eating healthier and saving money instead of ordering expensive takeout again and again.
Right.
But where do you start? Blue Apron has you covered. For less than $10 per meal, Blue Apron delivers all the fresh ingredients you need to create home-cooked meals. Just follow the easy step-by-step instructions, and each meal can be prepared in 40 minutes or less, which is nice. There's not like this big long build up to when you're eating. When I get home, I want to eat. Like I don't want to just
Now.
take
Yeah.
2 hours
Yeah.
to cook. So, like I said, it's 40 minutes or less. No overwhelming trips to the grocery store or sad takeout. And they have great recipes here. There's pork with heirloom carrots and beans and quick preserved Meyer lemon chicken. So there's a bunch of options for you guys to cook with, and everything is delivered to you. You can cook with ingredients you've never used before, and the recipes are between 500 and 700 calories per portion. So it's delicious and good for you.
Yeah.
Right now, you get your first 2 meals for free at blueapron.com/podcast. That's blueapron.com/podcast. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
My friends really quick do that every night, and
Yeah.
it's really cool because she said like it's something that now they do together,
Right.
And they get it, and actually the cost for if you are working in a day job and you go to lunch every
Every day,
afternoon,
right.
you're spending at least $10 to $15 per meal, and it's not healthy and
Yep.
it's not quick. And she's like, we go home, it's like not even whatever it is per week. It's cheap, it's affordable, and it's also them learning and cooking together, and it's kind of
It's
fun 'cause it's an
convenient.
extra
It's a
time.
great-
Yeah.
Super convenient.
It's a great date idea too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You cook with someone that you like, if you're married or if you're
Right.
just dating someone. It's a really fun date idea. I found
so.
like
Agree.
let's cook something together. You could flirt and like goof around while
Right.
you're putting the lasagna
some
together.
wine in there.
Exactly. A
Exactly.
little
You're all
wine.
good to go.
Little wine and then
You're good.
maybe a dessert option, some muffins with a bunch of cash inside of it.
Yes.
Sounds perfect to me. But
Perfect
the
date.
central conflict of this show is Bobby versus Chuck. And tonight we had them posturing around each other, but it felt like this was moving in a direction where Bobby was going to agree to a deal. And it was even to the point where he was admitting guilt.
Yeah.
Which is something he said he never was going to do. I was so surprised when that happened.
I didn't understand that either. And it is the first time also, I think we've seen him in a suit and tie. If you guys noticed that. It was the first time he really gave in to
with the
that
tie.
whole,
We've seen him like without the tie, right. But
full on suit. I just noticed that because it looked weird on him, almost like it was choking him.
Yes.
But it was really weird to me. I felt like it was almost reminder of the last episode where he kind of had us all believing one way. And I was just shocked that he was giving in so easily. I didn't understand it really.
Well, I don't think it was easy. I don't
think it was easy.
I think Lara played a big role
Yes.
in getting, making very good arguments. I read an article once where it said that Lara is like Carmela Soprano.
Yeah.
But she's not. She's like Tony Soprano. Because he is level-headed, makes smart decisions, and is not the one who's like standing to the side while she's getting having a result of somebody else's actions. I really think Lara has a really smart, good, level-headed.
She's way more the puppet master. You think?
I don't think she's a puppet master. I think she makes very solid arguments.
Yeah.
And ones that she really can't. That Bobby can't really argue with.
Right. I think Wendy is totally. Well, Wendy and Lara.
Yeah.
Right. Lara for Bobby, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, she said, this is us now. It's not just you. Yes, we know that you like to play with risk, but this is our family. We could lose everything. Yeah. And I totally got it with that on her. And then Wendy, on the other side, I felt like she was playing peace broker the whole episode. And she was very, very deliberate about how she was doing it. And it ended up almost getting there, and then totally the dogs came out to fight, and it blew up in everyone's face, which I kind of figured it would because their egos are just so big, that admitting guilt or fault or being wrong or looking like a loser is just not, it's not an option. Like, losing is not an option.
But I think Rhodes had Bobby. I will disagree with you in that Bobby said okay. He was going to pay his money. He was going to admit guilt. And then Rose looked at him and taunted him at the end. You don't think that's true?
No, I do. I don't know how he had him. Like, they had
he
Bill
signed
Stern,
the check.
but why'd they have him? Like, I think I'm confused as to how they just had him to begin with. Like, I understand they had routes to go down, and it would have taken a longer time. But I was actually shocked that Bobby gave in for like what they actually had on him.
Because he said he wouldn't admit guilt.
Right. So that's why I'm just like, I don't understand what he actually had enough to have a deal even be made. And then for Rhodes to taunt him, I'm like, at that moment, my skin started to crawl. I was like, what are you doing? You know that nothing's signed yet. Why are you doing that?
But I think that was the point. That
I think
both
it was a play.
sides did not have enough on the other. There's a conflict of interest on the Rhodes side of things. There's Bobby, multiple portfolio managers are going to get pulled off one after one. And the attorneys for Axe, who I really like, Orrin Bach is the character's name. It's played by Glenn Flesher. Really great lawyer and a fun character to watch. But his point was, if you're going to make a deal, this is the time because Rhodes is exposed. There's a lot, coming his way. So if you want to make a deal to make them go away, now is the time.
And you get more in the long run.
And they'll bounce back in like 5 years or so. Right?
Right, but then he said, okay, now you're not going to trade anything.
Right.
Not even your own money.
Well, he moved the goalposts.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you think that was intentional?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he wants to nail him for something, for everything. I think he just wants to take him down at whatever cost.
He did, but he taunted him first. Then Bobby didn't play. Bobby and Wags, I loved that scene with them just going back. It was almost like they had that plan too.
Oh, we'll make a couple
billion back. Don't you feel
back.
like that? Like they were just like, you're not going to get us. This isn't whatever. And then Rhodes just goes for it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, of course, but then it would have ended like that. You know what I mean? Like, you almost want to say, oh, they had it planned each side, but they didn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They did.
Well, I
think Team Rhodes had the plan to taunt him at the end because I think Rhodes recused himself before they even went in that meeting. And he told Brian that was going to happen. So regardless of what Axe was going to agree to, they were still going to taunt him and move the goalpost and
really?
Absolutely.
Wow.
This episode changed me from Team Rhodes to Team Axe because I thought it was a really dirty move.
Really?
Absolutely. I thought it was totally dirty for him to do that. And he went home and he lied to Wendy about it.
That right there.
Yeah.
The second he said I recused myself of it,
Yeah.
I knew
couldn't
he was
believe
lying.
that. Yeah.
There's no way. He's too invested. This is too much his life, his job to do that. And everything with his dad, with Wendy getting involved, I think he didn't like that. You know what I mean? He was being told what to do. If you could tell, Rhodes at the end had the dominance, and he's not used to that. But he wanted it, man. He wanted it.
But now what I find interesting is now it's on Brian's terms, right?
That's right.
And he knows that Rhodes is supposed to be recused. So if anything comes back that Rhodes really wasn't fully recused, it's going to be on
Brian,
him,
which isn't fair.
not on Rhodes.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's going to play in for the rest of the season.
Right.
Before we get into Wendy, I want to remind everybody, our listeners, that we're able to bring you these shows each week because you're supporting us online using that hashtag ABTV Billions, and then commenting on our YouTube page, giving us a thumbs up. But the biggest thing you can do to help us is leave us a review on iTunes. Give us a star rating if you love us. If you don't, you can reach out to us on Twitter and tell us how much you hate us. We're completely fine with that. So thank you all to our listeners for engaging with us. And we love doing the show, and we want to keep doing it for you. So you can reach out for us there. So let's talk about Wendy. She's put in the middle here and in a really unfair position by her husband. I don't think this is not something that Bobby has done to her. But I think she's put in a really, really unfair position.
Yeah, Bobby even asked her, "Why are you still here?"
Yes. Yeah.
Giving her kind of the like, "Hey, I would have understood if you left, if you knew it was going down, or even seeing it go down."
Yeah. Would you have got in the car with Hall when Hall says, "You want to talk to him? Get in this car"?
Funny, she keeps saying to Bobby on multiple times that she doesn't have a choice. She goes, "Do I have a choice?" And he always says, "You have a choice."
Yeah.
So, but she really doesn't, because she loves her job, and like she said, we find out why she's there. She feels like she built that company as well, which technically I guess you could say she did, because she helps all the workers there. But I thought it was just so interesting, that whole scene with them in the pool. Like, first we were like, wait, are they going to have an affair? No!
Exactly.
You know? No, don't do it! But then, like, I started thinking about it, and of course Bobby wants her to be in that type of situation, because being completely naked and that type of thing...
vulnerable.
Yeah, you're so vulnerable, and you have nothing but the truth to tell. You know, that, and clearly you're not wired.
That I was just going to say the same thing.
You're not wired.
It's the most obvious way to achieve that.
Exactly.
But I have a prediction around this. But
wait,
I don't, should I keep it? Okay,
yes.
remind me.
Keep it.
We're going to talk about the pool.
Predictions coming up in about 20 minutes. So we'll be back. But I wanted to talk about that hot tub scene because, again, at the beginning of this episode, we are teased with something, and I agree with you girls. I agree with the A-team in that I felt like something was coming that felt like an affair, and then when Hall mentions it to Bobby when in one of their meetings, like, hey, kind of make it look like an affair, or, you know, and then you'll see how fast the case goes away. I thought, uh-oh.
I think that could still possibly come up. You never know. There could be some sort of cameras, just as like insurance for them, possibly.
It's like someone taking photos of them in the hot tub?
Right.
Is that what you mean?
Dude, that was my prediction! Sorry! I literally just wrote it down. I mean, it's not a prediction anymore. I think Hall totally might have used that opportunity, and we might see that later, where they were taking a photo of or something to
Security
just show
cameras, something,
that they were in this pool together.
But they're naked.
But they're not making out.
No,
Still,
but
they're
why
naked.
are you naked?
They're naked.
He was enough upset that she went into Axe's house and Lara wasn't there. Prior, Rhodes was
Wait, she was there initially and then she left. Let's be clear about that.
No, in the former episode.
Last week.
Right. Rhodes was pissed. Remember that she went in when he found out that she went in the house.
Right, and Lara wasn't there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if they wanted to, I could see them using photos or images of that, sending them to Rhodes and getting that all fired up and starting something really big.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I took your
AT's pretty
prediction.
sorry. That's because we are on the same
We're on the same
page.
level, exactly.
We're on the same page.
We are. Yeah.
These are ride or die
Just
chicks
saying.
right here.
I'm just saying.
Working it
Just
together.
like I never have predictions because my brain is all over the place and I just like want to watch and immerse myself.
Yeah.
But
Right.
that was totally something that I saw
Right.
happening.
Yeah, it's
Not just the vulnerability, but it's a nice, dual
Insurance,
purpose.
right.
It is very vulnerable, though. You guys have made great points there. In a position where there's really nothing to hide. They are boss and an employee, but there's not a sexual chemistry. There's a trust, friendship there that
Right.
I think comes across. And it wasn't in a dirty sexual way, but
No.
it's in a what would otherwise be considered a sexual situation.
I do
Right.
think there's a sexual chemistry there, but even when she opens her mouth to speak, it's so professional and it's so like
Yeah.
that we would never go there situation that I do think they have a bond, but I think
Yeah.
there's such respect there
Yeah.
that clearly it wouldn't happen, or yet it might not happen. But it just her speaking to the fact, I love that she's gave all of the reasons that she could still be there, but really
Right.
her number one is for her, which is
Good for you, girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good for you.
That's right. Well, she is my favorite character in the show, and she just every week she's the glue that holds everything together. So, not specifically because she's between the two men, but she advocates in a way that, like you were saying, she speaks professionally, but she doesn't go beyond what would be reasonably expected of a wife or an employee. She advises them both. And I think it is an incredible feat of storytelling and writing that she doesn't tell Chuck too much about Bobby, and she doesn't tell Bobby too much about what Chuck is doing, only that he's willing to make a deal.
I was surprised, however, that she said, I can get him to do that. As in Axelrod.
Get him to
take
meet.
the deal.
Oh, to come to him.
Have the lawyer come to them. Yes,
That's right.
exactly, to make a deal.
Yeah.
I wasn't interestingly surprised by that. Intriguingly surprised by that? I think that's what I was trying to say. Intriguingly surprised by that.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
I think she knows him so well that she's like, I know I can, work my words magic and get in his head and finally, have him come around and make a deal.
And it's not just Wendy, it's Lara working on him too.
Everyone is.
And Wendy is working on Chuck and so is Brian, to recuse himself, to take a deal for their families, for the peace of their families. Now, we as viewers don't want to see that happen.
No.
Because if they settle and everybody's happy and they move on and there's no conflict
What's left?
anymore,
Yeah.
why are we going to continue to watch? So I'm happy that the deal went sour, but I literally thought it was going to happen.
I think you're right, though. Rhodes was totally the devil in this.
He was.
In this entire
It was
episode.
really
there was a
dirty.
huge shift in his whole play.
And it's been building this unreasonableness between the two. They are getting, like Alina said, the ego is overpowering them, the alpha male.
You sniffed each other and you didn't like the smell.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I love
Right.
that line.
And it's coming to overpower their actions to where the ego matters more than the reasonable thing. And in this case, Bobby was the one who was being reasonable and ready to move on. But he didn't because they kept moving the goalposts. So
Right.
I sympathize with him there. He signed a check for $1.9 billion, was admitting guilt,
Crazy.
and then Chuck's like, "Nope, that's not good enough. I'm going to make you squirm."
Yeah.
So the question is, what happens now?
I know.
Now they are going to the battle has. This was the first battle in the war. And the battle goes to, who does it go to? Who won in that interaction?
I don't know who won in that interaction. I would have to say Bobby, because he didn't have to
didn't
give
lose his-
$1.9 billion away, obviously.
Lost everything.
Exactly.
Everything.
And I think it's so funny that you say, like, this is the first battle in the war. When they had that whole scene in the beginning, I felt like the war room when he was talking to his team.
Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby. When Bobby was talking to his team, it felt like the war room. And then when Chuck was talking to his team, it was like they're gearing up for battle completely.
They pitched the whole episode like that.
Yeah.
And Wendy was like, it doesn't what war? Like, it
Yeah,
doesn't
it
have
doesn't
to
have
be
to
a
be
war.
this way.
That whole scene reminded me of Wolf of Wall Street,
Right?
with Leo DiCaprio up there riling up his troops and getting them all going, which was a departure from the way Axe normally handles things. He's normally very quiet, reserved. He lets other people do the talking, and then sometimes it's just a nod to say, "Go ahead."
Yeah.
And now he's up on the tables, just totally ranting and raving, and we're gonna burn down the houses of those who try to burn ours.
Yeah.
Cut to Wendy, and she's like,
She's like, great, that's my house.
exactly.
That is my house. You're coming
that's
after.
coming
Comparing
Right.
it to Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, Pearl Harbor. Everybody expected the invasion, but
Yeah.
they never came.
So I take it he's gonna drop an atomic bomb
Something.
next?
He's gonna
Something's
do
coming.
something.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, that Bobby's never unprepared. And as
Right.
Wendy said, she totally foreshadowed this, that it's another side of him that maybe we won't see. Like, somewhere, some way, he had a plan, and that's why I don't believe that he just walked in there with the tail between his legs with $1.9 billion ready to give in and lose even his trading rights on a certain level. Like, I just don't buy it. So
I think you're forgetting, though, that the attorney for Bobby, I'm sorry, I just had the character's name, I just mentioned a minute ago, Orrin Bach, kind of gulps and looks at Bobby before he says, and will admit guilt to conspiracy. That really, without saying anything, so much was accomplished in
Right.
seeing them,
You
right?
could see the squirm, you could see the facial expressions, everything.
From
Yeah.
Bobby just being, he seemed like he was sweating, he didn't want to be there, he wasn't in control, and then that happened. So I do think it was planned. I legitimately think he came in there willing to settle and move on. And I don't think that Rhodes felt the same way.
Right. Yeah.
He came in with saying, all right, well, we're going to make him agree to all this, and then we're going to move the goalpost and make him feel even worse.
You know who I did love in this episode, though? Wags, for once.
Okay.
I don't know why. I know he wasn't, like, huge, but I think his little sidekick role in this episode totally worked for me.
It was less of him pushing this alpha male like persona, and more just kind of the wittiness that I think David Constable's so good at doing.
He's so good
It's
at it.
the reserved, witty comments without going over the top, and some of these lines that just doesn't feel
Dirty
quite natural.
Right.
Yeah, the dirty stuff that comes from him. But another thing I want to point out about Rhodes is that they continue to cover for his dad with him cheating. Like, what's the deal with that? Do you guys know what's going on there?
I have no idea. I mean, I guess it's just a known thing in his family. I mean, maybe the wife knows. Does she know? I don't know.
I've got to think that is
She
Chuck's stepmom and not his actual mom. Because
Do you?
why would you hide that secret from your mother?
I don't know, but I think that it was funny that it was kind of repeated twice that Wendy's such a strong female independent figure, and that Chuck's mom's kind of like learning from her. And that was kind of relayed with the cigars and stuff. So I thought that was really cute.
Smoke in the house.
Like, whatever. And I think the dad likes that. Like, he's finally given reins to, and as much as he'll complain about it, he likes it, you know?
Of course he does.
So
He does.
that was I think that was a huge underlying shift also with Wendy and Rhodes, and then that whole explanation between the parents, and then at the end with Chuck just taking her. Like, I think huge shift there.
There was a big roller coaster for Chuck and Wendy this entire episode. The first scene between the two, she's walking in, slow clapping on her way in. Good job,
That
big
was
man.
brutal, that scene. I'm glad they approached the whole conversation that they had, and like, you don't talk to me that way, or I shouldn't have talked to you that way, because I was like, that's not them.
Especially when he said, like, oh, you're pretty and smart and talented.
You'll
land on your feet. Excuse me?
Yeah.
To your wife?
Excuse me? Yeah.
Wow.
Well, she had a great response.
Yeah.
To that.
Yeah.
It was a big F you.
Exactly.
And I think that was the only response.
And she gave him a chance to say, do-over. So what would you say to me if you had a do-over? Yeah.
I think that's a fatal flaw for Chuck, that we continue to see his ego and his
temper.
His temper gets the best of him sometimes.
Right.
And him recusing himself was a real surprise to me. And I thought...
Because it wasn't to me, because I was like, I don't trust you.
Well, here, let me want to. I want to get back to what you just said, but I had a thought, and then you messed with my thought. No, I think it's great that you said that, but I think anyway.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. So I think Rhodes was just so tunnel vision that he wanted this case and he wanted to be famous, and there were suggestions that Wendy said, "Hey, give it up. Give it to Eastern. Give it to Brian." And he would say no for various reasons, but always felt like he wanted the glory of it.
Right. I'm with you. I didn't think that he was going to recuse himself. I thought that he was going to make Wendy quit her job or something like that.
Okay.
So when he did say to her, I've recused myself, I was really shocked.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, good on you. But of course, he's not totally gone.
That was the thing, right?
Yeah.
So he says, just keep me informed.
Right.
Brian
but
says,
I'm in the loop.
You're right.
Yeah.
And Brian says, well, that's not being recused.
Right.
You need to completely stay out of it. But I think Chuck is really addicted to this case. He really wants to see Bobby brought down.
Right.
And it's going to result in some negative consequences, I think, for him.
Like, it feels more personal now than,
Totally.
Yes.
than
Great
work.
point.
Yeah,
Great point.
it's totally personal. Because if you're accused from a case, it's, you're done.
Yeah.
And if you want to stay around, then there's something personal. Like, you just do not like this person. You sniffed his butt, didn't like the smell. And
it's always been personal, but this took it to a new level.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Next level. Yeah.
It was personal in the fact that it was a big deal and he wanted to win another win, and a huge Wall Street win. But this is now like new level personal.
It was new level personal, and another big theme that keeps coming up is loyalty. So there's a personal ego, alpha male side to this, and then there's loyalty from each of the teams to their respective man. So we saw that specifically with Bobby with Dollar Bill. Dollar Bill sends an email to his wife,
Unbelievable.
destroying his family to preserve Bobby Axelrod.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
And he also preserves himself.
but in a way, I respect that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he is, it's kind of, I always say, like, just be honest. Be honest with yourself. Because
Right.
he'll deal with that home life later. He made the mistakes. He made his bed. He should sleep in it, so to say.
Yeah.
But now, you're like, so Rhodes tried to blackmail him. And he's like, you're not going to blackmail me. Because
Right.
I am accepting the path that I chose,
Yes.
and I'm now ready to deal with it.
Absolutely.
But I'm not going to let you win over my mistakes. I'll face my mistakes, and I will give credit to where that is due, right there.
Yeah. Absolutely. I loved it. I love the way Kelly played it. It was subtle, and at the beginning of the scene, that you could see like
You thought he got
the
him.
faux fear that he
Right.
had. Oh crap! Oh,
He knows
found
my
it.
secret,
He
yeah.
found my secret, and then bop.
Yeah. Well, I already typed up a letter. And I pressed send.
Unbelievable.
Yes. That's
really
a baller
good.
move.
That was so good. And Oren is just sitting back, just smiling. And I like that him and Brian know each other from the past. That
Me too.
Brian grew up kind of, or didn't grow up. He came up through the system, learned some attorney work from Oren, and that he was going to hire him one day. So there's a friendly rivalry between this. And another unique thing about the show is the arguments between the married couples are always very controlled. Do you notice that?
Yeah,
It's
they
not
are.
like screaming fights. It's more a controlled, spirited debate.
I think it's because they're all such control freaks in their
God.
own little way.
Probably.
You don't see them really ever losing control.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of plays
They're
into
smart.
it. They're
too.
smart about
It's
it.
like witty conversation.
It is.
Yeah.
And everyone's looking out for their own families, too. There's,
Right.
there's this aspect of family and loyalty and
'Cause they're on the
honor.
same team.
Yeah, they're all on the same team together, and they don't want to have these fights and this drama. We love it because we get
Yeah.
to tune in every week and see it. But it's really interesting
a good
and
point.
powerful that
Yeah.
this show has unique elements to it that we're not seeing anywhere else on TV so far.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move into the final segment of the show, which is always predictions. I know we stole yours already.
Guys,
And now, your AfterBuzz TV
I'm sitting here
predictions.
And you were so excited.
so excited. Wrote it down.
Andrea, what's your prediction?
Well, golly, I think like I said, my big prediction was that they're gonna set up that Wendy is having an affair with Bobby in some way, just at least even pitch it as an idea to get under Rhodes' skin, even though Rhodes is now off the case. which we know he's not. And I think that Wendy's going to find out sooner than later that Rhodes is finding out tidbits of information of what's happening going forward more than, she's not dumb.
No.
So I think that's going to be revealed way sooner than later.
She's a super smart person.
Way smart, way intuitive, way intelligent, all of the eyes, she's got them.
There's been nothing that he's been able to, Chuck has been able to hide from her so far throughout the entire show. So it's going to be interesting to see how quickly she finds out about that.
Right.
Alina.
All right, well, obviously I'm on board with that one. And also I think that Hall is going to find out that Rhodes isn't fully recused, and I think that's going to be extra ammunition to Bobby. Because he has a way, nobody really knows his ways, but he has his ways, he has his spies, and I think he'll eventually figure out that Rhodes is not fully recused.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think so too. Hall is one of the what do I want to say, the important characters of the show who, when he shows up, you kind of sit forward in your seat a little bit.
Right.
Something is going to happen. Yeah, exactly. I like when he comes on screen, you kind of, because it's always insider info. There's something very important to be said, and we hear from him. You know? So we're always listening a little bit more. So I think you're exactly spot on with that. That's coming. I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path here, and I'll say that I think we'll see Kate and Brian hook up next episode.
Yeah, that little Japanese. You tickle my belly. Okay.
You put a tickle in my belly.
Yeah.
What was that? And it was in the middle of an intense conversation. Like, what?
And he's like,
everybody,
hey.
even in the room, except him. Yeah, it didn't throw him at all.
No.
That was weird.
But it threw. What's the girl's name that he was sleeping with? Was that Tara?
No.
Can't remember. But anyways, you can tell she was a little annoyed.
Yeah. She was just like, what?
Yeah. So I think they're going to get together. She's openly flirting with him now in meetings. And we saw last week's episode, they're at a bar, and she goes, I heard you're really good in bed.
Yeah. So again, so weird. It's out of nowhere. And everyone just like dismisses it. Like, what?
Yeah.
But she's tactful, She does it at the right times, I guess.
I don't think she's tactful at all.
I think that it's in a way that apparently no one's paying attention. So in some way she is, Also, Bobby, now that Rhodes is out, I want to see how he reacts to the whole case, the whole idea of trying to be right. So now Rhodes out. Is it personal for Bobby anymore?
Yeah.
See, I think he's going to be like, there's no way Rhodes is out. That's why I think Hall is going to go. Yeah, totally. There's no way.
Yeah, and we've got 6 more episodes to build up to another confrontation. So it's so much fun, this episode. Any final thoughts from either of you before we close it out?
That was
I just thought it was stellar.
It was stellar. It felt like a season finale, but the good news is we've got 7 more episodes to see this season. So that's it. That's all for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week. And until then, we have been Alina Vision.
Hey, guys. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Alina Vision.
And Andrea Fasano.
I love that you added Snapchat
to
that one.
Oh.
Andrea Fasano at Andy Fasano on all social media, guys.
Some of us just don't even use Snapchat, and I am one of them.
I'm here to it.
I'm Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. Have a great week, everybody. We'll be back next Sunday. Enjoy the show. Watch it over and over again. I know I will. But be blessed, and we'll see you back soon.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.